Hello. Hi, everybody. I am not sure how to do an intro, so bear with me. Thank you for joining us on Book Wars Pod. Today we are finishing up our talk of Visions Ronin by Emma Miyako Kandon, chapter 29 through the ending. We're not going to do a wrap, so this is the last time you hear us talk about it until it comes into our brains at a later time. I am joined, as always, by Miranda, Kate, and Chris. Kristen is not here today, but she hasn't died or anything. She'll be
She's
back.
pregnant.
She also just has
We can-
COVID.
we
Oh
can
yeah,
say
we
that
can
now.
say that. We can say
will
that
she
now.
be
She's
back?
pregnant. Oh, she does have COVID. So
She's just
who
dying.
knows? Originally, she wouldn't be here tonight because she was pregnant and had other things to do. But also, she has COVID and she has a social life. Not with COVID, but her sister's
Yes.
visiting. So sorry,
She's-
Kristen. I'm immediately
she's
accusing you of being a super
Just
spreader.
breathing over everyone in Portland. And,
That's her job.
It's fine.
Yeah,
Just
you heard it
walking
here
around old
first.
folks' homes coughing.
like a
She's
super
gonna hear this
soaker,
later and
but
be like,
for-
Rana, what the fuck?
She's got a super soaker for her cough juice.
Oh my god.
I could make a really bad joke for all the natives who are not listening to this for my people about diseases, but I won't. Anyways, let's talk about what we're drinking.
womp.
I'll start with you, Kate.
Alrighty. So I've got some green tea from the tea spot so I don't fall asleep. I also have ooh lordy, I poured more of this than I thought I did. This
Oh God, help us!
get fucked, all right? All right. So this is Monkey
Guys, we can
This
hear
is
you.
Monkey 47. That's what the gin is called, and its thing is that it has
Monkeys in it?
lingonberries in it.
Oh.
No, it does not have monkeys in it. Thank God.
It's not like the lamb beer last
oh,
week.
Yuck. Yeah. There's no blood. There's no blood in my alcohol. It's just, it's got lingonberries in it. Except honestly, this was only okay for me. It tastes like fucking gin. So cool.
And that's the
Monkey
food of
47.
my people.
It is.
What are you drinking, Burb?
I have wine. White wine. It's a Pinot Grigio from Washington. It's from Walla Walla. I opened it yesterday, so it's not as good as it was yesterday, but it is a screw cap. And I bought it because I made a pan sauce, and then you only need a little bit, so now I have a fuck ton of wine. Well, now I have almost no wine because I'm drinking the rest of it. But I also have water.
I support that.
Good.
You
For
are
health.
living my life in a couple days because I have to make a soup. Well, I don't have to, but I'm going to make a Greek soup that has wine. I wanted to get Pinot Grigio. They didn't have any, so I don't even remember what the
Where
fuck I
were
got.
you?
But anyways, I too will be like, oh no, I had to use a quarter cup of white wine. I guess I'm drinking
Oh
this.
no, my third cup of wine.
Where's the I think you should leave drop of I'm scared of how much
I know,
wine
I
I
know.
need.
Not yet in the catalog.
You know, that's okay. I don't want us to be like those like white moms who get to have wine become their whole identity and they don't get their kids taken away, unlike, everyone else
like the
when
rest
they
of
do
us.
that, so.
It's not as bad as
Yeah.
white weed moms.
Oh, true.
That's a
yeah.
whole fucking issue.
I feel like weed
I don't
moms is
know
more
any of
Gen Z,
those.
whereas the millennials had the wine moms. That
Oh,
was like
yeah, I
very
don't know
much
any
a
Gen
thing
Z
when we were
parents
in
yet.
college.
Wine moms is also like Gen X.
Yeah,
That
it's
too.
very Gen X. Some millennials too, unfortunately.
yeah.
I feel like I want to see a Venn diagram that is like people who identify as wine moms and then people who I see on social media who thankfully I've never met in real life. Well, I've met, but I avoid. Who are like those white women who are like really spray tanned and wear very large sweaters with skinny
circle.
jeans and
It's
boots.
a circle.
Yeah, it's like I'm curious. I want to see the overlap
That
because I
Venn
think there's a
diagram is
lot
a circle.
there.
Yeah.
And they, yeah.
It's complete overlap. Chris, what you got?
I have green tea because I was running late and so didn't feel like I had the time to pour myself any alcohol.
Oh, boo.
Do you need to pour yourself
does
alcohol while I say what I'm drinking?
No, I'm okay. Thank you though.
Do you want to tell us?
I
what
did
you're
have
gonna
I
pour?
did have a sip of Kate's gin, which is very interesting. It's like very sweet up front, and then
It's from
you
the
like
berries.
it's famously It's very sweet up front, and then you get like about halfway through, and it just turns like straight to grain alcohol.
Ooh. Not the grain alcohol, but the idea of the transition. Next time I'm at your house, please
I'm
let me
just
try.
picturing putting like those toy monkeys into Everclear.
Oh my god, I can picture them in my head. The ones
Yeah.
that hang on each other.
Put that in
Yeah.
Everclear, and you'll get the monkey gin.
You might get some. Well, we already have forever chemicals on us. Never mind.
Listen, if you've ever had Everclear, you'll be okay.
Yeah, my mom makes limoncello with Everclear, and there's a limit on how many bottles you could buy in the state of Massachusetts at a time. So she used to have to drive into like Connecticut or Rhode Island in order to get enough to make
How
limoncello.
much limoncello does she make?
She would make it for Christmas for everybody, so she'd make like 20 to 30 small bottles.
How?
What could she go?
What is
to
the limit on
different-
Everclear?
I don't know. I just remember her being really fucking
Can she
mad.
go to different stores and just keep, or is
yes,
it?
but it's like when you buy NyQuil
Oh,
and
is
you
it-
have to
is
like
it
have
like
a
NyQuil?
limit.
Yeah. And they can check how much.
I'm just still like have this vision of Rana's mom like walking around with a fucking shopping cart full of Everclear, like fucking yelling at a store manager, being like, "This is not
Hey,
enough."
my mom is not a Karen. My mother is a white woman, but she is not a Karen. Okay,
But I can't
she's
imagine.
not yelling. She hasn't. She did once have a very similar haircut.
She
though.
sounds like a math problem lady.
Oh, she is. She's like spreadsheets for life.
Oh no, I mean like how much if Karen
Oh, I
not
see.
Karen
Sorry, I was
buys
like, does she view life as a
13
math problem?
jugs of
Yes.
Everclear, how soon will she be arrested by the state
You
of
know,
Massachusetts?
when I'm going to bring this up to her when she's here this weekend, and she's probably going to tell me I'm remembering it wrong, and it's just that like she couldn't buy it at that store and drove into Rhode Island coincidentally or something.
I just like see.
I
I
mean-
have met your mom, so I can't imagine her just standing over like a vat of Everclear, just
Oh
figuring.
yeah,
it
because
out.
you saw her like cook and like refill everyone's
Mhm,
drinks
mhm,
500 times. Like that is my mother. That is who I am too. Not even unfortunately.
you're-
You know
you're-
what? I'm annoying, but I'm great at a
You're
party.
both lovely
So
hostesses, and yes.
Thank you. I am not drinking Everclear, nor am I drinking my mom's limoncello, which I kind of wish I were. That shit is delicious. Anyways, I am having a pear vanilla hopped sour for the last time that I report everyone's drinks and cook too much food, which was the get together in the end of January. And I bought a shit ton of alcohol that was way too much for the like 12 people who came. So I'm still drinking it. It's by Dewclaw Brewing, which I had never heard of
They're
before.
out of Maine.
Though I should have because I'm obsessed with my dog, Maryland.
Oh fuck!
So close.
I was like, they're out
All
of
right,
somewhere.
Your own
It's like, I
home.
know that,
Go home.
that brewery for some.
It's 7.1% alcohol per volume. It has a lot of text. You probably don't want to hear me read it all, but it is Book Wars Pod, so this is my book, I guess. Some things are just better together, just like this sour ale. With hops in true tart harmony, each smooth and satisfying sip unfolds layers of pear and warm vanilla. Finished with a burst of fruity flavor, you'll want to hit replay on our soundtrack or perhaps the sweet sound of cracking this can open. Now, I will say, it does have a QR code that says Beers and Beats, but it's a really weird mixture of songs. Yes, I see you have a hand up,
Is
Fred.
it is Dewclaw a Baltimore brewery, or are they out of Frederick? Okay,
Yes.
they're out of Baltimore.
They're in Baltimore.
Okay.
Oh, now you know who they are. I'm just kidding.
I can tell you a
I see
brewery out of
Google open.
Frederick,
No.
but
Blessings.
No, they're out of Baltimore. It's honestly delicious. Like it's a little fruity, but it's not bad fruity, but like
Aren't we
sweet,
all?
but not horribly sweet. Right. I can't. I'm like the one person that can't respond to that. It's delicious.
We are
That's my
no.
point.
We are no longer
Chris, too,
outnumbered by
sorry.
the Straits. We are. We are no. We are.
All
The
right.
Straits are even
Chris,
with
did
people.
you just out yourself?
I don't
Came out
even
on the pod.
know. Oh, Lord.
congrats.
I'm happy for you.
Gosh.
Anyways, wow, Chris thought he was gonna make the pod great again, huh?
Oh Lord.
Big white man
Ah.
First he sends us a Fox News screen cap, now this.
It's true. He did. do
Listen,
that.
I found out that the crazy person at my work is 5'2". Big psychopath energy, y'all. I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
Hey now.
I see that.
Hey now.
I mean, how do you think he knows that, Kate?
Can you just tell us what the charity is?
Oh, sorry. Yes. Okay. So now that we've talked for 25 minutes about alcohol, because it is Alcohol Wars Pod. Alcohol Wars. That would be a book I would read. Anyways, our cause is Black and Pink National. It's a prison abolitionist organization dedicated to abolishing the criminal punishment system and liberating LGBTQIA2S+. That was a lot. And everything. in that spectrum, people again, it says living. People I can read. This is going great.
You're my favorite.
Thanks. This is what happens when I eat dinner at 8:30. People living with HIV/AIDS who are affected by the system through advocacy, support, and organizing. And because I didn't know how to read, I should clarify that it's not that they're affected by a system of advocacy, support, and organizing, but rather that Black and Pink National does those things for these people. And let's get into what we're reading because I have really messed up our intro. So,
Listen, Birds also brought us in the past, so you're doing great.
thank
Yeah, I
you.
mean, like-
I did get the name of the author correct, which I've heard could be. an
Kristen
issue,
once
so
forgot the name
I'm
of
just
Star
kidding.
Wars. If we're
That's
keeping it
true.
100.
That checks out.
That's completely true. Anyway,
Well, you know what else was confusing was the end of this book. Have I redeemed
A
myself?
plus, nailed it.
yeah, this ending got really twisty. I was not expecting many things, quite frankly. Did
Big
not.
I see dead people energy.
Yeah, so we get to the end of this novel, and we've talked a little bit about like some of the like one of the High Republic books, I believe, like having big horror vibes. And I got to the end of this book, and then I kind of realized like as they were walking around Reizu, like which is the planet that is like frozen in time because it exists out like in its little pocket universe or whatever the fuck is going on, and everything is like absolutely frozen and stuff. And Burb did not have time to read the end of this book, so she's giving me a really good face where she's absolutely baffled. Anyway, and the whole thing was just like very eerie, as you can probably imagine. And yeah, and then it kind of dawned upon me. I just read a whole book about zombies. Why didn't it occur to me that this was a horror book before this moment? But here we are.
I loved when they were on the planet and there's this question of like how the fuck does it work with physics? And it really brought me back to times in my life where I've watched Star Wars content with people who were very invested in astrophysics, and I won't say any more to that. And the question of like how does it work, and someone being like, it's the Force, shut up. And then the fact that exchange is in this book, the fact that the exchange of like, well, there wouldn't be gravity if the planet stopped spinning, how is time stopped? And then being like, it's the Force, you can't just say it's the Force, whatever, just accept it, was like so perfect for like a little author insert of I can just imagine them like sitting there and saying, I don't know, how the fuck is this gonna you know what, it's Star Wars, just make it work.
Exactly. No, that moment of the moment where they're like, it's the Force, and the person was just like, don't it's the Force me. And I was just like, this person is all of us right now. I was just like, we have all been here.
We don't have a drop for it, I don't think, or else I can't find it. But big, that's not how the Force works, energy.
Why don't we have a drop for that?
We might.
Okay.
Let me find it.
Can we make a list of all the drops
I
that
know,
we
right? Really. Anyway,
I've been trying to get us a drop of the fucking like you gotta give sketch from I Think You Should Leave for the entirety that
That's
season has
perfect.
been out.
Christopher, if Kiki doesn't remember the name of Star Wars, how do you expect her to remember her to-do list?
I mean, fair point.
We all know I'm down to be a bully. I mean, not a mean bully. I know we just said she's pregnant and
It's like
sick,
one of those fun bullies.
it's just like it's Aries season. Like
It's true.
a little bit of bullying is how work gets done.
Gosh.
Kate, you know this.
Burbo.
Burbo's mad with power.
Oh my
I know
god.
this was a
I'm like
mistake.
trying desperately to not like cough to death while I laugh because I had the flu last week, which is why I'm just drinking straight gin right now, which is super good for my throat. But here we are.
I mean, there are cultures where gin and vodka are a way that they respond to sore throats because it kills the
It does.
bacteria.
Also,
What
it
was that?
burns your throat,
Never
so
tried.
there's nothing to cough.
Mm-hmm.
That's not
Allegedly.
real. I just made that up.
Yeah, you cough out of your lungs. I don't know how you cough. Maybe my asthma has messed up my body, but speaking of messed up bodies, another
Yes.
transition.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of messed up bodies in this book.
So there were a lot more people who actually turned out to be dead than I thought there were. Slash people who turned out to not be dead. But yeah, no. The Traveler slash Fox did not realize they were dead. Apparently, I was not reading closely enough because I think Rana, was it you who noticed?
Yes, but it was still in this section, so I might just be being a pedantic asshole. When they have their flashback, they mention like a bunch of things that made me think that they were possessed, but
Uh-huh.
maybe I misunderstood the process, but I kind of felt like everyone other than Ronan himself, or whatever we want to call him, Grim, whatever, who has the witch's influence, is dead. That's how I understood it, but maybe I was wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I think I read that moment where like they're like, I don't remember like lots of these bits, and Koru kind of assumes that they have had their bits of their memory wiped, just like she has in the past. And I think I just kind of took that at face value. So I was just like,
Yeah,
sure,
that's fair.
whatever. And then they were dead, and I was like, oh, you're dead.
So, question about
Yes.
that. When the Ronin says, when Fox takes off their mask and the Ronin says, like, they look kind of human, but I think they're a non-human species. Do we think that actually they started off human and then they just like decayed and looked different? Or do we think that it's just Star Wars where everyone looks vaguely human, even in other species?
See, I think this is a good question because I don't think we have rules for zombies necessarily. Like we have some rules for zombies in this, given in this book.
More than in the HBO adaptation of A Song of Ice and Fire, aka the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones. So
That's accurate. But yeah, we're not told whether decomposition happens. I would think personally that decomposition is not necessarily happening only because this is probably several days worth of events, and Cora's not been dead terribly long, but I would assume that things also because like she's self-healing also. So I would
yeah.
assume that decay is not necessarily happening. So I would
And does space even have the microorganisms and like
mm,
sorts of things that would speed up
true, but they
decay?
have been planet side, so
That's true. Yeah.
help.
Bird took the words right out of my mouth where I was going to say they don't seem to have like a scent to them, so I don't think.
Yes, they're not different. Oh my god, Jesus Christ, it's fine. This is a fair question though. I like knowing about rules.
No, I mean that makes more sense when you say it that way, because I kind of was forgetting that Koru was like, I remember when she self heals and when she's like, what the fuck? But I totally did not think about that in terms of other what do they call them? Shades?
Yes,
I love that use of
Yes.
this, by the way. I was like, oh, that is
Yes.
perfect.
Oh gosh, they're so creepy too. The way they kind of like flash in and out of existence, like they're glitching. So fucking creepy.
Made me think of like when you see something out of the corner of your eye and then it's
Mhm.
gone.
Big horror trope vibes, and I loved it. Also did not see Ronan having a whoops baby with the witch. I was like, oh okay. Like I was just
Hey, we've all been there,
I was
right?
just like, we all know the Ronan fucks, but like, oh my god.
Well, I mean, early on, one of the times that Ronan, like, I think it was like within the first third of the book, when he somehow, like, when there's that drop that you realize that he was like romantically involved with the
Mhm.
witch, I was interested. But then when he's in the mirror and she like talks about, like, she refers to that, I was like, oh, this is fascinating. I will say, like, not talking about my personal life, I've never had a baby, but reading their like interesting interaction was so interesting, like, to compare to real life breakups, of like the way it was written. I was like, oh my god, this is fascinating.
Yeah.
Like it was really like evocative.
Yeah.
Provocative, sorry. Evocative is not a word.
Evocative is
Provocative.
a word.
Okay. Haha. I went to school.
You know SAT words. But yeah. No, the twist I didn't see coming. I also I think we were wondering what was going to happen with Koru, but in terms of her just like being a zombie. So I feel like getting her getting like absorbed by the planet and then just like existing as like kind of this like infinite being is like was probably the like that was the good ending, you know? Like I was just like, oh, this is kind of nice. So all that being said, we get to the very very ending of this book, and we have all the twists have been revealed, and we have this like a lot of really lovely like gut wrenching like confrontation scenes between like Ronan and his memory of the witch and him and his daughter and all this other stuff. And we get to the very end, and I remember I finished the book like I don't know, maybe like 2 hours ago, and I was like, and I give it to Chris, and I'm like, fewer people than I expected like died in this book or are permanently dead or dead in a way that matters, I suppose. Like it kind of seems like the crew of the Poor Crow is gonna merrily continue along doing well, we'll talk about that. Doing what are they doing? We'll talk about in a second. But how do you feel about like kind of like that nicely tucked in like whatever ending?
It felt very Star Wars because Star Wars loves to do that. But I will say, I say this almost every single book, not as much in the YA books because I'm not quite that much of a psychopath, but I generally feel for storytelling that death is not a bad thing. Like it kind of wraps things up nicely when people die. And I feel like there's always this hesitation in a lot of storytelling to not have people die. And maybe it's just because like traditional Mohawk stories have so many people just like killing themselves and dying all the time. But I always feel like it's good closure. Like, I don't know. I don't think as many people needed to have some form of staying alive in this as they did. I feel like if they had died, it would have like concluded their story nicely versus imagining what happens to them after. But I always want more characters to die in books. So
So you say that.
That's why you love Game of Thrones.
I was also gonna say Claudia Gray agrees,
It's
and
true.
she will kill anyone and everyone that she possibly can.
Yes. That's right, Claudia.
And we love her dearly for it.
I disagree a little bit. Not I agree with your overall point. I think that death is honestly at this point underused. It's like it like swings back and forth wildly. Like when Game of Thrones was on TV, every media wanted to just like kill everybody and be shocking like that, but then they always wanted to bring them back on like Song of Ice and Fire, which I don't respect George R. R. Martin for a lot, but I do respect him for
Lady
keeping people
Stoneheart.
dead.
She comes
Well,
back.
yeah.
Hmm.
She comes back in like 2 scenes and then we haven't seen the rest of the books yet.
But she didn't
Fair.
come back in the show.
That's true.
In
She
the
So it
did
show.
come
doesn't-
back
it
Yeah,
in the
'cause
show.
I
doesn't
hate women.
count.
No, I'm kidding. George R. R. Martin hates women too.
This is true. But so like it goes back and forth I think in pop culture, but in general I think that like a good death is underused. Like mostly it's just for shock value, but like done in like a good way it can be very powerful. But actually in this one I actually liked that they came back because I think it's very indicative of how this story functions as mythology even within a mythical world. Like it's almost like fable like in how it ends with and then everybody like found their purpose and got right with themselves and their spirits and then they went on their merry way and explored the galaxy, which like I kind of like it's
I'll say that's very white fable like.
fair,
I think a lot of other societies have people just die in the stories.
I mean,
It's like don't
very
fuck up.
Aesopian.
To that point, I will say
I see that.
ghosts are it feels very Asian. Like haunting people is so
Yeah.
fucking Asian. Like I can't like emphasize that enough. Like
Positive haunting is very non-white. The whites are terrified of ghosts.
well, yeah. I mean,
Well, I wonder why.
I mean, we do ancestor
You
worship and
would-
stuff for like fucking reasons. But also, I mean, the Japanese are very good at also doing horror as well. For they have that background in history, so that the way that was folded in, I thought was cool. Anyway, you were making a point.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I was mostly done with it, but just that I felt that in this context of this story, I thought that it worked very well. I did find it interesting that, like, kind of the question of is everybody coming back, or is it just the people who made peace with themselves?
Mm.
Did it actually make peace with themselves, or are they just chilling now? Like, it's kind of ambiguous, and which is also kind of the nature of like it's the force. Don't it's the force me, but like I kind of liked that ambiguity and the fact that this is such a limited story of these people. Like, and it's interesting because this book is in a way like the broadest view of a completely different world that we don't know very well, but it's also just a very character focused arc, and since it functions that way, I kind of like that the characters are all there at the end.
No, that's
Mm.
fair enough. I think
Yeah.
so. One of the reasons why I came up with this question is because I have maybe almost a smaller, like more narrowly focused quibble than might be suggested. Um, Speaking of character focus, my specific issue, I think, is the relationship between the Ronin and his daughter. Um, because we don't find out about her until the very, very end, and like obviously she's been very present throughout the book, but she's just talking to people through their heads because we find out that it's actually her who's been talking to like the voice in people's heads as opposed to her mom, because her mom is a planet now. Anyway, so but like I don't know, they achieve like I mean not full reconciliation or anything like that, but um yeah, felt too easy, and it felt like there should have I feel think there should have been more reckoned with in terms of, you know, how she grew up alone, and obviously he didn't know she existed, but like I don't know, it's like it wrapped up too nicely that they're now gonna like for me anyway, that they're now going to just be under one roof, like doing like a grumpy sitcom family reunion thing or something like that. Like I, I think the Ronin has probably suffered enough to warrant a redemption arc, but I don't think he's there yet. And the fact that he gets to be with people and in relationship with other people feels like a redemption that he hasn't earned for me.
Do you not think that his ultimate redemption would be dying? Because he wanted to die during his fight with Hanrai, and because throughout his healing process, he's kind of like, cool, take me out.
I don't know. I don't necessarily know that I wanted him to die, but I don't, or like if him being alive but under different circumstances would be better for me. But what
Hmm.
we have just doesn't sit 100%
I
in my
feel that.
brain.
Also, there's like so much trauma in life for lots of people with like parent shit that for a parent to then in fiction have the same like,
Yeah.
it's cool. We have no rules. I'll take care of you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
Also, just
It's close.
oh my god. Also creepy to me that he thinks it's the witch in his head. And I'm just like, you thought this was your dead lover for a really long time, and it's actually your daughter.
It's like a way
Well,
worse
she wasn't-
version of In the Days of Landline. Sorry, Chris. I was going to make a bad joke.
Oh
Go
no,
ahead.
I was just gonna say the daughter wasn't talking to Grimm. The original witch is the one who's
Wasn't
been
she?
talking to Grimm since he killed her. The daughter is the one who was talking
Oh,
to
I
Koru.
read this the same way as you did,
Oh,
Kate.
okay.
I thought it was a twist that it was his
Yeah.
daughter.
Because the witch
I
said
didn't realize
to
it was a
him several
different
times,
voice.
I have never wanted you to come back here. The voice in
Yeah.
his head told him not to come back to Reizu.
But wouldn't that also be what your child would say if they were like, man, you abandoned me my whole life?
Oh, do you think I'm confused. Do you think that she was
I don't
impersonating
think
the witch?
Yeah.
No, I
Witch
guess
Bride?
I kind of thought that like that he, you know how like you sort of twist things as you see them or as you expect them. I guess I kind of thought that he like was taking her message and like projecting his own memories and concerns onto
That's
it,
interesting.
and thus hearing it
Yes.
as the witch.
That was me.
Interesting. Yeah, I saw that.
Kate
totally
has
different.
the MFA, so I'm biased, but
Yeah, it's interesting because aside from the question of who was talking to who,
But because she wants to lure him to his Zetsuki so she can absorb him. That's her entire goal. The daughter. Oh my god.
well, that's why she was trying to get everybody to bring him back. The voice in his head was not telling him to come back, though.
I'm skeptical.
There's no point in this book where the voice in his head tells him to go back to Reizu.
Sure, but that doesn't tell me who the voice is.
I mean, fair.
That's just that might be factual. That doesn't give me any information though. In with regard to who it is.
I guess the other question I had a little bit of was like with the mirror and the witch, but the voice being the daughter, I was a little bit confused about like I assumed that while the witch no longer, was a physical entity, that was still her spirit in that conversation.
In that moment where he picks up the shard and he kind of gets like taken out, basically.
Yeah, and he like gets transported into that moment. I thought that was the witch, but if that was the daughter, then now I have to rethink about that.
There was like this line that made me think that basically the force working through this shard of the magic mirror like pulled him out and kind of like took him back into he was talking to a memory, basically.
Yeah, I kind of got that was also the point where I wondered about the baby because there's that moment where she like touches her stomach
Yes.
and maybe it's just because I've known a lot of
Mhm.
people like I remember like when my grandma was pregnant with my youngest aunt and I remember like just all the like my aunts and when they would all be pregnant and how they would always like touch
Mhm.
their stomach while talking about something and you would be like, oh shit, there's gonna be a
Hera does
baby.
it in Rebels before we know
Um
about Jason. So
yeah, it's like totally a thing. And also sometimes you're just bloated and you're like, what is this? But and then you know, but anyways,
sometimes I eat
when
beans.
I kind of wondered like, oh, if that is the moment where something like should he have been aware? Like why didn't that stand out to him? I was kind of confused about all of that once we learn about the fact that I thought in the moment that she, you know, had some sort of like abortifacient T or something. And so when we found out the daughter was alive, that does kind of confuse me around like if the daughter's talking to him and then he went back and talked to the memory, like how did he not catch something here?
So
Like that this
my
happened.
explanation for that it goes two ways. Number one, men are stupid, and they notice nothing.
True. Where's our air horn?
Burb.
Oh,
Burb.
Burb is raising her hand. Thank
Atta
you.
girl. So number one, men are stupid. Number 1A, we were talking last episode about like who in the like actual Star Wars canon we could maybe like I can't turn analogy into a fucking verb. What the fuck is my brain doing? But anyway,
Compare.
yes, thank you. I had the flu, guys. Like compare some of the characters in this book too, and I had said that the Ronin kind of reminded me of like Anakin, and like part of it is like him being an evil Sith, and part of it is him needing to breathe through an apparatus, and part of it is him having an aptitude with droids, and also Anakin comes back from rescuing Palpatine. Padme tells him he's pregnant, and he's like the fucking doing math gif of like what. Like they did not do sex ed at the temple. He's so confused.
Exactly.
He's just like
It was a religious abstinence only education
yeah,
for Anakin.
like actually, and he's just there like how baby make done, and he's just like I just like sir, you're so fucking anyway. So that's that is a long-winded way to say. I just assumed he was dumb.
This is fascinating. I read
Fair enough.
this whole third part of this book so differently from y'all. It's very interesting.
Okay, is it because you're a dumb man?
Probably.
Okay.
At least you know.
I mean, I am very firm that there was no point in my reading of this book where I did not think that the original witch was talking to him. I was not always sure that the original witch was talking to Koru because there were contradictions from the start of like wanting somebody to kill him and like the original witch in his head being somewhat ambivalent about his death other than like kind of like cheering for it to piss him off. Like
That does seem like something a former partner would do, I will
I
say.
would.
yeah.
Cancer vibes.
So that's number one. Number two, I think that this is also that I'm dumber, that I'm an easier reader in some things because since this story is mythology and fable like I'm much more willing to buy the simplicity of various arcs. And so to me the ending didn't bother me for the reason that I thought that kind of one of the really crucial lines, and it was in the temple, and it was when Fox and Grimm were like sitting back to back and like kind of chatting with each other, and Grimm is kind of just in his feelings as he always is, and just thinking
So emo.
and like talking about like why he wanted to come back, like why he had been searching for the Sith and like taking their kyber crystals and all that junk. And Fox says something along the lines of, "You spend so much time thinking about what you've done wrong. Did it ever occur to you that you might have that it might be worth thinking about what you did right?" And like that to me is very crucial because to me, and this may be reading a little more into it, but maybe not. Um, his kind of self-appointed quest of killing all the Sith is very self-aggrandizing and doesn't actually do anything to fix the problems that he created, whereas actually confronting what he did both on Reizu and the planet and also in physical form with his daughter who he just found out about is like the actual harder work that like actually puts him on the path toward, oh, this is that all this other stuff. I like told myself I was righting my wrongs, whereas really I was just doing the easiest thing to do besides just killing myself. Whereas now I need to actually do the harder work of confronting what I created and abandoned. So I didn't see it as he is redeemed now. I saw it as he is finally on a path that could lead to redemption.
I just feel like, I don't know, being reunited with your family and them being open to a relationship, s- just based on storytelling tradition, suggests redemption enough for me to not for it to not sit right with me.
That's fair.
So yeah, Zuko giving Iroh hugs, it's that. But anyway, that
The
was my
daughter,
question.
the other thing with me though is Mirahi didn't seem mad at him in her own way. Like she seemed fucked up because she grew up alone surrounded by ghosts, but like she didn't hate him. Like she wanted to, I feel like so much of her motivation and her actions was just because she was lonely. And I feel like that extends to why she started taking people over. It extends to like how she got so like megalomaniacal, and that Fox ended up having to shatter the mirror because he was afraid of what she would do. And that they were afraid of what she would do. Thank you. I apologize. Um,
I did the same thing in the outline. Yeah, we all suck.
and
poop emojis for all.
indeed.
Mhm.
And also, like, I think it is part of why she wanted to absorb him and bring him back. It's because him being Grim now, because she didn't have anyone, and it was her way of being close to people because it was the only way she knew how to do that because she was never actually taught how to have relationships.
But don't you think that if you lived in a world where the only real influence you had was your mother, who was essentially one with your planet that was frozen in time, maybe sometimes you get to hang out with some zombies, but they don't really offer much conversation, and there's no such thing as therapy, don't you think you would hate your other parent?
I mean, if you've never
Maybe
been
I'm
taught to hate,
overthinking this
why
with
would that be your
mine.
first reaction?
But no one has to be taught to hate. Like,
No.
hate is an innate instinct.
That's a much larger
This is an
conversation, but I'm
interesting
not entirely
philosophy.
sure that I agree with that.
You don't think that hate is a natural human emotion?
No.
What?
White people are
Wow,
weird.
this is fascinating.
I think it's a side effect of love.
What? Wow. One, I think you've consumed a lot of Star Wars.
I think you've consumed a lot
Two-
of Neil Druckmann is what you've consumed.
This is so like, wow, we could get into a whole philosophical conversation here. I do think love and hate are somewhat related because like I think the opposite of both of them is indifference, but I think just like love is a natural emotion, I think hatred is a natural emotion as well, and it's one that like is hard. I mean, we have to teach kids not to hate all the time, right? They like they're 2 or 3 years old and they're screaming at their parents that they hate them, and it's like, oh, actually you have to teach them that that's harmful to people, you know? No?
Also, she-
Okay. Maybe that was just me.
Also, she thinks he's a failure. Also,
Yeah.
the,
He thinks he's
yeah,
a failure.
I mean, because she's
She
a sad sack.
she doesn't say he's a failure though. Because she says I wanted to lure you here, and he says and I disappointed you. And she's basically like, no, you didn't. I knew what to expect. Like she just wanted him to be there. Like she was
I guess
she
I
was
read that
disappointed
line
he's
as,
not
like-
stronger because she wanted to be stronger because that's how she interacts with the world. But like again, like
I read that so differently. Like I
Yeah.
read
yeah,
that
this
as
is really
her
interesting.
being used to him being a failure, of her
Yeah.
as if he were like, you know, I wasn't able, whatever the
Like-
fuck the line is, and her being like, oh yeah, I expected
Or
it.
like-
you know, that sort of like, I know you ain't shit.
If you weren't a failure, then our family wouldn't be like this.
Yeah. Or my mom wouldn't have become a planet if you had just figured out how to control yourself and keep your dick in
Right?
your pants. Sorry.
No, but actually, I completely agree with Rhonda. This is really interesting, actually.
This is very interesting how
Yeah.
differently we read this.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Tony. He's just there.
Tony's butt is
It-
on the
it
camera for
is,
everyone
it's-
wondering.
Like I definitely don't think that she knows how she feels about him, but I don't think that she hates him or even thinks that she hates him.
I guess I don't think she exclusively hates
Yeah.
him. I think she has messy
Yeah.
emotions, but I think hatred is one of those
Yes.
emotions.
And see, that is where I disagree. I don't think that it
Kate
is.
and I are gonna go make our
Hey,
own
hey,
pod. No, I'm just
Hatred
kidding.
and longing, I feel like, is what her whole
Yeah,
MO.
exactly. Yeah, like, but how I think the longing is deeply tied to like a fantasy.
Yeah, because she's resentful. I feel like I don't know.
Yeah.
She seemed like that to me anyway.
I think that it is that longing and loneliness are the primary emotion.
I do sense loneliness,
Yeah.
but I guess I thought of it more as like a hermit's loneliness, where like that is life and you deal with
Mhm.
it, versus like everything has been taken from me
Mhm.
and I just need to have this one person type of
Mhm.
loneliness.
This is interesting.
But that doesn't mean that I'm right. As
Yeah,
much
this
as
is
I
this is
love
This
this
is
is
just
very
interesting.
interesting. I think this is like the
fascinating.
Yeah.
biggest difference in how we've read a story that we've
Yeah,
ever
because
had on
usually
the
Chris
pod.
and I are on the same
Yeah,
page
this is fascinating.
when we do
I love- I-
these. But also, this is like the first or second book that Kate has been on, and we know that Kate and I have the same type of feral brain. So
We do. I think I will say the other part of why the ending didn't set right with me is that so Marahi just killed Fox, and there's also no consequences for that either because Fox just gets to kind of bounce right back the fuck back up from the undead. I don't know.
because they a zombie.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot here where I'm just like, I feel like people deserve consequences for things that they have done and chosen to do and or whatever, and I don't know. There's maybe that just says more about my personality than anything else, but
Do you think you feel that way because Fox is a very likable character for the first 3/4 of the book? Would you feel differently if Fox were just like introduced later or hadn't had their whole like deep introduction and all of their character building?
that's a good question.
Or as you think about that, if we had known the Fox that if we had known Fox as they knew themselves, because they did not like themselves at the point where they got to Reizu. And they were
I
very clear
guess-
that they were not a good person.
But also, isn't that how we all feel about ourselves in real life? Like, not to be like really sad,
Well,
but
sure.
isn't part of that just like nature? I would say human nature, but that's not applicable, I guess, to Fox. But like, isn't like, I guess when I read a character who doesn't like themselves, but at least through their actions thus far seems decent, I generally just assume that they have self-esteem problems.
I mean, yes, but also, and nobody say anything that can be used against you in a court of law, we're not murderers.
I appreciate that. Yeah, can confirm, not a murderer.
Yeah. Well, oh my fucking god. So yeah, no, that's the thing. I'm like, oh no, murder's murder, and they were defenseless and not malicious in their Fox was not malicious in their intent or anything like that, and Marahi was like lashed out in anger when I think that given her training, she probably should have known better, and they died.
What training, though?
What do you mean, what training? Fox was there for years.
I mean, sure.
Oh, I missed. I totally. So I skimmed the last like 2 chapters because Argos was being difficult, and which is fine. That's truly my dog. He's very cute now. So, but I missed that part of Fox and Marahi having a history.
Yeah, no. Marahi was basically Fox's apprentice.
Okay. Yeah, I totally
Yeah,
missed that line. Sorry.
So, I mean,
I can read.
Book Wars Pod. So I feel like the first thing you learn is to not lash out with your emotions in such a way that you could like fucking murder somebody by accident, manslaughter somebody.
But
I
isn't
guess?
it also like a trope of training, of all sorts of training materials, of like you kill someone who you grew up with or trained with and like you
Yeah.
regret it, and it's like this horrible emotional downward
Yeah.
spiral?
That feels.
I would also say that the Jedi in this universe don't seem to have the same scruples, fear of emotion that the canon Jedi do. So, like, while yes, teaching someone control is presumably what somebody would do first.
Okay, but like, don't murder a motherfucker is like just a basic.
Do
I
we
mean-
think maybe there's something here in terms of like bloodline and destiny based on who her parents were and everything that they did? Like maybe she's doomed to repeat this act of like.
Ooh,
I think
no, I
that's-
love that.
I think that's a question. Absolutely. Like.
It's my bullshit question here. I'm
No,
ready.
I think that's a question. Like, I think I mean it's a. I mean that's a classic Star Wars question. Honestly, like is Luke destined to be Vader? So I think that's I think it's an open question whether or not you believe in whatever, but like I think that I think that's in play here for sure. Absolutely.
And that's really interesting. I hadn't even thought of that, but that's really interesting because she says when she's talking to Grimm about Fox, uh, something along the lines of, "It's amazing how little force you need if they don't see it coming. Like, it's amazing how easy it is to kill someone if they don't see it coming."
See, and that didn't track for me because your coworker fell off a fucking the roof of a townhouse.
Well,
and
okay, sure. Maybe it's not real world physics, but
But also, people can die from rolling over on the ground wrong.
fair enough.
it's true. Anakin almost died from falling off a potato.
God,
You punch the wrong person outside of a bar and they like pass out the wrong way. I don't know why it's outside a bar in any setting, and they, fall the wrong way and they're dead.
Yeah.
Like
That's
they
true.
hit their head on the concrete or something
Rana,
happens to their brain.
we said we
like-
weren't gonna say anything about.
Yeah, this is all
I have
hypothetical.
never done that. I have not been in a fight since I was a teenager, and
Was it
I
outside
swear
of
that
a
on
bar?
well, a physical fight. No, it's just an example.
Rana
Do
just
other
murders
people
with her
not hear
emotions.
stories
Oh
about
my
bar
God.
fights?
That's the worst way to murder. It hurts the most.
oh my
The
god.
first cut is the
It's called
deepest.
verbal abuse.
Stop. All right. Well, I feel like I don't know. Man, this is like the least conclusive I feel like we've ever been in a conversation, which is a great thing, honestly. Like lots of food for thought. So yeah, folks who were reading along with us, tell us what you think about motivations and feelings and stuff. But one last thing I wanted to talk about. I think we are actually gonna have a wrap up for this because we just uncovered
I just love lying, is what it is.
listen, we accidentally covered like a whole mindful of just good, I was gonna say conversation nuggets. I spent 3 years teaching, and this is how you know. This is me being like fucking relieved that anybody in class volunteered to talk, so I don't have to do anything. And anyway, so we are going to talk real quick about just how awesome the writing was, especially towards the end of this book. And then talk more about, I don't know, larger philosophical Star Wars questions in the wrap. So yeah. I just want to say I thought the visuals at the end of this book were just absolutely fucking stunning. Like we were talking earlier, like just a few minutes ago, about that bit where the mirror shard takes the Ronin into that vision where he gets to talk to the witch, or the memory of her anyway. And like from that moment forward, I swear I was like seeing everything unfolding probably the way it would have in that same like anime style that the short did. Like those moments where the mirror like shatters, I like saw that, like, you know, those moments where like in anime where like the thing will blow up and it'll slow down and then like go in slow-mo and then you see the things twinkling in the air before they all fall down. Like I was seeing that in my brain. It was like, I have no idea how the author was able to like evoke that sort of like feeling, but it was there, and I was just like, how do I do that? Because I would like to learn.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this whole book, I've felt like the settings and scenes have been really beautifully written. And it's funny because while I hate to sell myself out like this, but the first 3 to 5 chapters or so, I could not get into it. And partially I think because we had seen it on Visions and it was like a little different, but or similar. But it's funny because even when I was complaining, I was still picturing everything I read so clearly in my head. And when I read, I'm one of those people who like sees an image when I read, like I think most people are. But good writing, I feel like I really see like a very detailed image, and bad writing, I see like kind of like, it's kind of fuzzy in my brain. But it's funny because even when I was complaining, there were very clear images like the log on the water and all these things, the cave. But I was really blown away when we got to that section. I think we talked it before in the last section about the way that the author writes about like little orbs of light in that another cave. There are a lot of caves in this, I just realized. But just being really surprised at just how beautiful it can be hard to write setting, right? If you use too many colors or similes or
I'm
metaphors, it can be
miserable at
heavy.
So yes.
But this author, when they use metaphors, it doesn't feel in any way like heavy-handed, and I think that's such a talent. Um, and yeah, I think you're right that it just gets better and better as you go. That mirror setting, also when the Ronin is waking up and passing
Mm.
out back and forth, it so perfectly captures the feeling of not really knowing what's happening, but also sort of having a vague sense of it, having a little bit of a memory, like the feeling of passing out. I've never read something like that captured something so bizarre so clearly. And I think the sense of like mysticism and magic or force or whatever we want to call it, even just in what we were talking about earlier of like the horror influence, it's just all incredibly oh my god, I've had less than half of my beer. Incredibly well written. It's almost like a reverse Boston accent there. But yeah, it's I killed my point, but my point was that I agree.
Yeah. No, this author has just such an amazing facility for like, I mean, all writers should do this, like, you know, like pack his book meaning to as small space as possible, but the way that this author does it is almost in a way that is poetic. Like, I was like, I can't think of any examples off the top of my head now, of course, because I had gin, but there were moments where like there would be phrases where like literally it would be like 2 words, maybe 3. And I would just have to stop and be like, how did you string these 3 words together? And it means 10 different things. I'm going to throw my book across the room and then also set it on fire because this is so great. Like, it was like, I was just like, I'm not like, it's a talent. Like, it's a talent. It's a talent and a skill. And yeah, no, I feel like it was particularly in full force towards the end of this book when we're in this like otherworldly setting. Like, it felt really, really stark.
It's interesting because believe, if I'm remembering correctly, that the author's day job is that they're an anime editor.
Interesting.
That would do a lot. Because I'm like, they're on Reizu, and I'm like imagining that sun being like frozen on the horizon, and like the only color that's in the short is red, and so like just like everything in black and white, but having this like red wash. I was just like, I'm feeling this. That's
Oh
cool.
yeah,
That's interesting because the color that I saw in my head was like even though the sky was that color, I saw so much like gray and like
Mhm.
periwinkle, like
Mm.
fog and interesting. Maybe I just made that up.
No, the little deer that they talk about are that color.
Oh yeah, the cloud deer. I love
wanted to
those. They
pet
made me
them.
happy. Be gored by them,
Yeah,
same thing.
Pet
The Estes Park of Star Wars.
whatever, you know.
No, I completely agree with everything y'all have said. It's an incredibly visual book. I mean, for me, the entire section on Reizu was in black and white in my head, except for lightsaber colors. So like, and
I love that we
kyber
all saw it so
crystals
differently.
when Koru was dropping all the kyber crystals into the water ground.
That was such a cool scene, bro. Oh my god,
That's
that
awesome.
was so beautiful. I have nothing else. I have nothing smart to say about that. It was just lovely. Yay.
All right, so I have another question going back to the
Oh fuck.
which ghost was talking to who when.
What?
Here we go
You picking
again.
this up. Chris's dad does this fucking shit where he will fucking like tell a story and then like 3 weeks and then like or something, and then 3 weeks later he will start talking about the same story again, except it will come out of nowhere. The previous conversation will have had nothing to do with it. He gives you no warning. He just starts talking about this fucking sandwich he had again 2 weeks ago, and you're just like, what the fuck are you talking about? And you do the same fucking shit. And that is what is happening right now. You're just like,
Wow, we're witnessing couples therapy before our own ears and
true.
eyes.
The difference is this time I actually gave
It's true.
context to what I'm talking about.
It's true. There was actually a transition there. This is growth.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
It's true. So, in your mind, then, the scene when Koru has fallen at the bottom of the chasm, pillars, whatever setting that she's in, when she hears a voice telling her to let go, because that will help her, like, that'll help her achieve her goals, essentially. That'll let her choose the form that she exists in. That, to me, was very clear that was Original Witch talking.
Yeah.
To y'all, is that the first time that Original Witch has talked in this book?
Aside from in Grimm's Memory, yeah.
Fascinating.
Yes.
Okay.
For me, yes. Rana,
I guess I hadn't even really thought of that fact. I think there were times early on before I knew anything, like I get where I thought it was the witch with Grimm much earlier, because who else would it be, right? Before we knew about the daughter. But like if I go back, I think I would almost have to reread the first half of the book now, first 2/3 of the book, to have a firm answer to that, to be honest. Because there were a lot of times where I feel like Grimm thought it was the witch and it wasn't. But I guess then it's like a reliable narrator question.
Wait, well, Chris, you've read this book twice now. Like,
Oh, true. You should have all the answers.
so when you
You don't, but you should.
so when you got to the reveal, the
Ain't
first
that
time,
the story of my life? Sorry,
Jesus.
what?
When you got to the reveal the first time around and you found out that it was the daughter, in your mind, like, what happened? What did you retcon that you thought, like?
So the first time I read the book, I couldn't place what felt off about the difference between the voices, but it clicked for me that they were in fact two different voices and that there
Oh.
was a daughter. And this time, reading it with that knowledge, it was very clear to me that they were two different voices talking to one voice talking to Grimm and one voice talking to Koru / Hanrai. I'm trying to think if she talks to anyone else. I don't think she does.
So I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna reread this, but if I were, it'd be interesting to see the difference.
Chris, you're fucking weird.
Because it's one reason that it was very evident to me is that Grimm's imaginary friend is just a companion.
Wild turn of events.
Is what?
Is a companion.
Okay.
Whereas Koru's imaginary friend and Hanrai's imaginary friend is a boss or a master.
Yes, and
But don't.
he feels like she's
Sorry, go ahead,
directing
Kate.
him.
And wouldn't it make sense that this, if it is his daughter, that she's been around in his head a lot longer versus she hasn't had the chance to be in the heads of these other people for as long?
Right, because like it's not like she hasn't been in his head for 20 years.
The witch has.
No.
I thought he couldn't remember when the witch
Right,
started talking to him,
exactly.
and that it's like been so long. I got the impression that it was at some point. I don't know how long ago. Maybe I misread that, or maybe it's vague intentionally.
But
But
it wasn't at the
I don't know.
No, but it didn't feel like it was at the moment of breakage that she started talking to
Yeah,
someone.
no, it seemed to me like at some point in his like, I don't want to say hermitage, but
Yeah.
at some point in his like time of isolation and becoming less and less social, that this voice sort of cropped up,
Yes.
and I couldn't tell if he had tried to keep it out of his head longer, the same way that like with not intrusive thoughts, but you know when people have like various things and he just kind of gave up on that inhibition, or whether it was something that had happened or someone he had killed along the way. And then as we got more information, it seemed to me like, oh, this is very different than I thought earlier. But again, I've read the book one time, so
You know what? I'm gonna here's what we're gonna do because we're doing another episode on this. So I'm gonna look up.
oh, we're not going to read the whole book
No,
again
no,
before the
no,
next
we're
episode,
not.
are we?
No,
Jesus fucking
the
Christ,
look
Kate.
of
Not all of us
horror,
got MFAs.
absolute horror on Rana's face. Oh my goodness. No,
I don't have time. I mean, I do, but I don't want to. I enjoyed the book. My mom's going to be here this weekend. I already have to clean my whole apartment,
fair.
like deep clean, reorganize all my spices, bleach the floors. Like there is no time to reread this
No,
book.
what I'm gonna do, what I singularly am going to do is I'm going to go through, and I'm going to pick out those moments where I was just like, "This is at least, in the
Mhm.
very least, to prove to you that she has not been in his head for 20 fucking years."
I love some pettiness. I'm here for that. And also, if we're wrong, tell us. But I like being right,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I hope we're not.
Same. Chris, you suck. Fuck you.
That's fair. And
Wait, does Orca have an opinion on this?
Orca's just has
Maybe
been
he's the
staring
judge.
at
Orca's
me
opinion is play with me.
for an hour. He's just been staring at me with his giant
Which
eyes.
seems to me to be the voice of a child, and therefore he's saying it was
Yep,
the daughter.
God, you're so right. You're so right.
Oh my god, I've heard this twice in one night. It's amazing.
I will. Wow, way to just fucking.
You just Oscared the shit
Yeah,
out of you.
just fucking playing us off the fucking stage. All right, I guess I'll save that point for next week. Thank you for
Listen,
listening.
y'all bringing up points again. You gotta save some. The whole philosophical thing, the writing style. That's wrap up episode stuff. Like,
Miranda, famously the furthest west of all of us, says it's bedtime. Thank you for listening to episode 163 of Book Wars Pod. Next episode, we will be continuing along. Yeah, I was not prepared. Next episode, will be
It's
continuing
okay. I didn't say the episode in the
to
intro.
talk about Ronin and wrapping up and continuing this discussion, and in all likelihood, hearing Kate tell me why I'm wrong.
You fucking suck, Chris.
In the
Every
meantime,
episode.
it's twist. In the meantime, remember to get your vaccines, get your flu shots. It is not too late if you haven't yet. And if you enjoyed us watching Mandalorian and live streaming it last two
We
weekends ago.
Live
by the time you
tweeting.
hear
Live
this.
tweeting Mando. I was live streaming video games.
Live tweeting.
Disney will sue us.
Live streaming Mandalorian, which is already free for everyone. No, it's not free. I don't
What's
know.
happening?
Anyway, we're gonna live tweet Mando again. We'll be hitting up Twitter, is letting y'all know what time. Hashtag BWP Trash Takes. So get excited. Kate will also be live streaming once again, probably this coming weekend.
There's a date in there, Chris.
Oh, well, not in the section that I'm looking at. So
It's the 26th.
thank you.
Sorry.
The 26th, which feels to me
Kate,
like
what
a
are you
Sunday.
going to live stream?
Yeah. Well, I'm up here where it says Kate live stream. Anyway,
Kate, can you tell us what you're live streaming?
I will be live streaming more of Last of Us Remastered since I'm on a roll. Maybe I will remember the right buttons to shoot this time because I had a brain fart and I was just getting shot at standing there like, oh, okay, this is cool.
after we continue and finish talking about Ronin, we're going to be reading Queen's Hope by E.K. Johnston. Get excited for that and read along with us if you would like. In the meantime, if you have the means, please donate first and foremost to Black and Pink National. Then, if you want to support us, you can donate to the Tasha Station Radio Patreon. It really helps us cover our hosting and production costs. And we have our new tier dropping for $2 a month, where you can watch Kate and myself stream. You have not seen me stream yet. I'll probably stream Jedi Survivor when it comes out.
You suck, Chris.
I mean, y'all can watch me fail the fucking Muspelheim trials in God of War repeatedly, but I also almost called it Mustafar, which is very funny to me.
Different thing.
Crossover
But
episode.
but not as different as you would think. Anyway, please also give us coffee, another great way to support the pod at ko-fi.com/bookwarspod. Our theme song is Whiz Bang by Poddington Bear. Our logo and artwork are by Joby Terror Design, and our audio and production are done by the one and only Miranda Eldon.
Shit, where is it?
I gave you such a lead up for that, Burb.
Sorry, it's. Oh god.
Jesus fucking Christ.
You broke it.
Nailed it.
If you are in any way concerned about hearing an air horn 500 times, by the way, my dog just woke up, even though I have headphones in, maybe you should consider sharing our producer search.
Yeah, so that is the next thing.
Wait,
as
let me put
fantastic.
the thing back on.
Oh my god. As fantastic
Don't
as
leave me
this
off the
episode has gone, error-free, flawless.
Has been such a
We are
shit
looking
show.
for a new permanent producer. So if you are someone or know someone who has audio production experience, podcast experience, just like Star Wars and wants to learn, we want to hear from you. So hit us up on Twitter, in Patreon, Slack, basically wherever you can find us. Just shout really loud. We'll find you. Thank you again so much for listening. For all of us, Argos, Jasper, Orca, Tony, Baby Cerisi McDonald,
Ew.
Kristen, Rana,
The
Kate,
fetus.
Miranda. I am Chris. We'll talk to you next week.
Or not.
Or we'll fuck off. Who knows?